All right. Um, Greetings, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Expanding the Conversation with Kofi and Richard. Apologies again. I know we're not on our regular schedule, but
It's a good
uh,
reason for that.
yes, note that we're always, Kofi probably can attest to the fact that we're always checking in with each other, trying to figure out how do we logistically work it out so
Yeah.
that we can be with you. Like I think we've said before, this is an important um, activity of ours. We gain a lot from it, but we feel like it also serves
Well,
others
let,
as well.
but let me tell the people what's going on to Rich. I mean, most of it's on me, right? A lot of it, maybe
I'll
at
let
least
you. I'll let you have
80%.
that conversation.
It's almost 80% on me. One of the things is to all those who have sort of been paying attention to what we've been doing. You know, and we'll talk about that today, right? Because we'll talk about community today, and I'll let Richard introduce that topic. But for some time, I have been seeking the opportunity to sort of expand my service in my home country of Guyana. And so, more recently, many of you may have seen, maybe I was in the media doing some private work, company work, teaching at the university. These are all things that we have talked about on this show, and sort of going after your dream and going after your passion. And this has been a mission that we have been on, and I am sort of in the heart of it, just trying to be of great service to my home country. I used to tell people when I said the pledge as a child, I took it very, very seriously. It says, dedicate my energies and prosperity towards dedicate my energies towards the happiness and prosperity of Guyana. And that's a commitment that I made as a child. And I think I'm at a stage in my life where that's what I want to do. I want to do things in Guyana for Guyana, even if I'm out of Guyana. And so I've been spending a lot more time at home, and so it's real difficult sometimes to find data at locations. In some places we've got it set up, a nice little studio we can go in and get going, and so it's been a little bit tough. So we really appreciate people sticking um, with our lives and listening, and we know that a lot of the feedback from different people is that it's been impacting and changing their lives, and we really really appreciate that. And so bear with us as we transition, as we move more resources into the broadcast. It'll allow us to be able to do it more consistently as we go through this so it's basically a transition period overall, and that's what's been impacting us. But Rich, I kick it back to you.
Yeah, no, that's good for some background.
Yeah.
And I think we can touch a little bit on that, right? Because like we all live lives that can be disrupted at different points in time for different things, but we can still continue to serve even in the little time that we have. So, what rolls into the topic today that we wanted to touch on a little bit, and it is serving the community, and we'll talk a little bit about why, because obviously I know that before. And this is my story. When I was younger, I probably didn't think too much about serving my community before I figured out how do I get some money? How do I
Yeah.
go enjoy a good life, right? How do I get a vacation, buy a nice car? I didn't have any of those things growing up. And so the question is a reasonable question that I would ask. Why should I serve my community? And then I think we can talk a little bit, Kofi, about how do we do that, because I think as we've learned as time has gone by, that it doesn't have to be any kind of great structure or anything like that, but just the need to serve. And so the question, why should we strive to serve our community, and what does that look like? Uh, I don't know if you want to kick it off, Kofi,
Yeah.
and tell us why
I
why should we be interested in dedicating our energies towards the prosperity.
Yeah, without thinking about this too deeply, the one thing I do know, Rich, is that there are some things that are personal, and then there are some things that humanity as a whole is like an organism together, right? So we're like organisms individually, but we're also organisms collectively. And if you look at something like COVID, right, we just went through a pandemic, you could see how collectively we're an organism, right? Where we're parts of a whole, where when one of us gets sick, the others get sick. When something affects one, it affects the others. When you think about that sort of connectivity that we have, it makes sense to me that there are some things that we do individually, but there are definitely things that we do collectively. And our individual effort should also help to shape some of our collective effort. And when you think about collective effort, there's a range of things that are better done together than apart, right? I think that makes total sense. Um, if I were to think of it from an engineering perspective, right? You could imagine that utilities, it's better if that is a community provided resource, right? Because imagine everybody trying to generate their own electricity. That could be challenging. No, it's not a problem with it, right? But it's
You
just that it's
you'd
just
half the neighborhood.
right. But it could be better done if we work collectively to do it. If you think about water and water treatment, it can be done individually. Everybody could get a well, like you see in many places. But sometimes it's better if we have a water treatment facility that distributes the water to everybody, make sure it's nice and clean. You look at roads, for example, right? You don't want individuals just building pieces of the road, right? The road is a common resource that we all use. You look at the environment, another common resource that we all use. And so if you are polluting it, then it's affecting everybody. So in those situations, just to think of it in a physical sense, in those situations, there definitely are a set of things that are better managed and dealt with as a community rather than as an individual. Imagine you trying to fix the climate change issue on your own, right? And which is kind of what the world is dealing with, where there's some countries, right, that are spewing CO2 into the atmosphere and others that are not, but everybody gets affected by it. Everybody gets affected. So I think ultimately we 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 should be convinced that they are things in our community that are better if we do it together, right? There are things about serving and helping our community that are better if we all participate and help to lift the community. And the idea that a rising tide, right, will lift all ships together makes sense to me, right? Makes sense to me. And so we should be able to identify matters that are of common concern to all of us, right? And I think this is maybe the issue when we fail to acknowledge that there's some things that are common, and we don't want to work on them, right? And then I think sort of, maybe I wouldn't even say selfishness, because it's usually in our own interest, but I think a lack of just vision, short sightedness on our part, make us not participate and work towards the improvement and the betterment of the community. Because a better community means a better, better for all of us, right? And so I think we have to identify those matters that are important to our community, and then we choose to work on those collectively rather than sort of individual.
Great points. I would add to that, and I think it is Denzel Washington that said the most selfish thing you can do in this world is to help someone else,
Yes.
because that's where the joy is. And there is, again, in a world that we live in where we assume that it's a zero sum game, and if we help somebody else, then that takes away from us. I think that is probably the short sightedness that you're speaking of. But there
Correct.
is something exciting that happens, and I've probably said this a few times. I think that's where, if there is a God, that's where He lives. When we sort of get together and we help each other, and so it's not only for the community's benefit. It's for our individual benefit, right? That sense of um, I know that some people may have differing views on this, but I feel that and know personally that if I wake up today and I wake up every day feeling that my existence serves a meaningful purpose in the lives not only of myself but of those around me, then I feel like I've got a good reason to wake up. I've got a good
Yeah,
reason to go forward and do something positive and to impact somebody's life in a positive way. And so it's selfish in a good way, right? These are one of
yeah,
those things that this is one of those things that's selfish in a good way, um, but also that enhances your community, right? And as you said, it's the rising tide that raises all ships, and so even if you're in a neighborhood and and community can mean many things here, right? It could mean your country, it could mean your neighborhood, it could mean your school, it could mean your classroom. Any sort of gathering of people can be deemed a community, right? And so if you live in a neighborhood, for example, and you help your brothers and sisters in whatever way you can, whether it's to provide some career coaching or to give them some positive advice or go help them weed their yard. There's a number of things, right? Or you come together and clean up, then everybody benefits from that. But also you as a person really get a sense that your life has meaning, right? And it's not just all about you. And I think
yeah,
over time, you really do learn to love and maybe respect and feel proud of yourself if you go out there and think about ways and means of serving your community. And so that's what I would add to the why of serving your community, because I think it is something that you'll feel really good about, and as well, um, get better, right? Because every time you teach something, you learn it a little bit better. Every time you share it, you prove
yeah,
that life is bountiful, and there's no you're not shorting yourself by giving to somebody else what you
yeah,
know, in any way, shape, or
yeah.
form.
Another thing I would add a dimension to community, because the community could be, it doesn't have to be physical. Right? You could have, for example, a community of professionals, right? Which doesn't have to be a community of people that live in the same place. It could be a community that's based around common interest, right? That people have. I still think that doing activities and contributing positively to your community also makes sense. For example, when I teach at the university, I tell students that their behavior as engineers in the professional world is going to shape the engineering community. And so it's important that if we want to improve engineering practice and if we want to improve professional practice all around, then there's a certain behavior that we want to exhibit and get people from that professional community to participate right with us in order to make that community better. And I think the same thing goes even for businesses, right, Richard? um, if you are, for example, like I am now in the healthcare business, or if you are in the construction business, what you want to happen is for that community to improve. And so, whilst it is important that every individual within the community is earning and making a profit, it is just as important to ensure that that entire community of builders, entire community of health providers is actually being uplifted, and the community, right, that business community and the way we do business is actually improving. I recently told a story of it's a story about long spoons, they call it, right? Long spoons. And in the story, there's heaven and hell, and everyone is sitting in these two places at a very long table where there's a lot of food in front of them. But the only catch is that the spoons are too long, and you can't really feed yourself with the spoons, right? And so, and so what happens? The only obvious solution is that you have to reach across the table and feed the person in front of you, and they feed you back, right? But in hell, the story goes, the people cannot cooperate, so they all starve. I can't say starve to death because I guess they're in hell already. But the point is, they starve, right? But in the other place, right, to heaven, as it's told, the people figure this out and they're feeding each other across the table, and then everybody is satiated, right? Everybody's satisfied. So I think whether you are in a physical community or in a professional community, or in a religious community, it doesn't matter. The point is, there is a power in working together and helping to feed each other, right? Helping to work things out so that there is an improvement in the overall community, rather than just like, okay, I want to stand out whilst everybody else is like suffering behind me. I don't know that that is helpful. Businesses need people who can buy from them. So it's good that they should be investing in education and improvement of human resources, because that's what they need, right? And people should be happy to support businesses, because that's where people go and work and make money and then are able to escape from poverty, right? And do things. So there is that giving and taking, right? That's happening in our community that we really need to see things from, right? And if we hurt businesses in our community, and if we hurt consumers in our community, and if we hurt each other, and we're not helping even with keeping our community clean, we are ultimately hurting the entire community and hurting ourselves.
Agreed. So how do we go about serving our community, Kofi? Give us some examples. I know they're numerous. Do I need an organization? Do I need a
No,
group? Do I need
yeah,
how do I start this process? Because
I
oftentimes I felt like I'm not qualified to help anybody because I got so much work to do in my own life. So tell me.
I think all of the above, but like with everything, you know, showing up look in your community. And just for example, I remember telling some kids once, I said I walked through the community, we saw like garbage in the community. I was like, just pick it up, throw it in the nearest trash can. It don't take much to do that, right? But we feel like it's not our responsibility to do that because somebody else put it there, and that's a legitimate feeling. But I think by setting the right example, it could begin to encourage other people to start doing the same thing. That's certainly one way I can think of it. I think sometimes we have to be willing to go it alone, and then try to recruit others to start doing this. So it could start with you, the person who just picks up things and consistently put them in the garbage can, or put out some garbage cans to collect things, encouraging other people, go knocking on your neighbor's door and getting them to participate, right, in this process, if we're thinking of environmental related stuff. But then there's also, when I was a child, there was a girl up the street, if I call her by name, she might be listening, Jillian Hunt, right? That started like lessons teaching young children math, right? Anybody who is struggling in math and certain subjects. She just basically put some benches and the kids would go over. And I remember going over and she just started teaching them like in her spare time. I think that's a great community service that you could give to children, whether it's paid or not paid, right? I think it's a great service to do. I think there are other things there, Rich, whether it's looking out for other people, whether it's making a donation, if you've got a little bit of money, right, you want to help out a family, maybe every weekend you go to the market, and for every stock of bori you buy extra stock for somebody else who might be in need. I mean, everybody doesn't have to see this and know this, but I think these are good ways to serve our community in a very quiet way, whether it's environmental, helping the neighbor out, helping friends out, and things like that. I think even we talk a lot about driving in Guyana as well, right? Maybe there's some things we can do in Guyana about helping people to understand certain things, when it comes to driving, because driving can be crazy, right? And so maybe there's some community work we could do there to maybe work with some people, maybe the police, to talk a little bit about how we need to improve driving and save some lives. So I think there are multiple ways. The thing that always comes to my mind with this, Rich, is a line I learned from a movie. I think the movie was Robots. It said, "See a need, fill a need." If you see the need and you recognize the need, see if we could fill that need. And oftentimes, a lot of these things turn into serious businesses as well. So it's not like you're just doing charity. Businesses can serve their community whilst making a profit. So this isn't just about charity and community service, as you said. Sometimes it's about, I'm going to go start a business because my community needs this. I'm going to start a community garden, right, and sell the vegetables to people in the community. So I think these are things that we can do, just as some examples.
I like those, and it doesn't sound like I need any special structure that I need to be a hero to be able to do those
Exactly.
things. Um,
Exactly.
I, I would add to it, and I've found that um, the easiest way to identify opportunities where you can serve is just to wake up wanting to serve.
Yeah.
So if you wake up and you want to serve, then I think the opportunities show up in front of you um, throughout the day. But one of the things that I say at home, um, and I tell my wife and kids this, is that I want to just I want to be of such great service in my house so that when I'm not here, you guys really really miss me. And I say that to mean that like you can start at home, right? You wake up and you see your parents, um, or people doing work around the yard, sweeping out your yard or cutting grass. Like start there, right?
Yeah.
Start helping out as much as you can, and then I think you develop that habit of helping. And as you go throughout the day, lots of opportunities will show up. I like that one that you talked about. That Jillian did, because that's one of the things that I've asked myself now that I'm older. Because I remember I was really good at math. I self-proclaimed myself one of the best math
We've
students.
heard this many times, Richard.
I hope Sir Dolphin can endorse this. But and I wondered, right, like why did I not sort of try to help other students in my class? And I don't know who was struggling and who wasn't. I probably wasn't even paying attention, but I
Yeah.
felt like I could have really felt pretty good about myself, as well as developed some skills as a teacher, if I'd helped out students in class. And I know there are other people that are really good at other things, right? I know, for example, we spent a lot of time in the art room even while we weren't doing art, just messing around with art, right? And I think
Hmm.
in a lot of ways there's always the opportunity to sort of help each other. And it really is something that comes back to you even without recognizing it later on, right? I mean, you talk about not doing it for money, and I feel like money is the least of the compensation you can get. Oftentimes it's that sense of being able to serve and uplift somebody else, and people will remember that for years to come, right? And we think about our teachers and the things they taught us, and the moments that we shared, um, that will live with us for the rest of our lives, that we know that contributed to who we are. And so that sense of gratitude, that we feel towards those people, people can feel that towards us, right? And so I
Yeah.
think there are endless opportunities that for us to serve. And I'll add this in closing, because I often thought that I needed to be something special. I'm not a PhD doctor like yourself. I'm not famous in any way. I'm just a regular guy, right? And I often thought that maybe I needed to be something special to help, and I know now that that's not true.
You're a
Uh,
special guy, Rich.
I appreciate that to you. It's good to have
PhD,
at least
PhDs will
one.
make us special, man.
And I just throw that out there, right? I mean,
I
I
know.
do recognize that now, right? And not to say that I felt bad about myself or anything, but I think we really do, um, sort of, not always recognize how much power we have to serve and how much we have to give, right? We often think sometimes that we need to have money to help as well,
Yeah. Hmm.
or money to serve, but we don't. And so that's what I would say in closing. Like, we all have something that we can give to somebody else, um, to enhance the world that we live in. And so, and even time, right? Because as we were saying earlier, right? Even with your crazy schedule and the travel and everything else, and trying to build a business in a tough environment, we still make time, and we're all busy, right? We all have lives and kids and
Yeah.
jobs and all that stuff. And so, even in the midst of that, I think we can still find some time to help people along the way. So I'll say that in closing. But let's continue to seek out opportunities and see ourselves worthy of serving, and the
Yeah.
opportunities to serve will
Absolutely.
present itself over and over again.
Yeah, man. I'm gonna say it to you that the opportunity to serve is always there. It's like you don't even have to look for it. It's always hitting us in the face. I think most of what we need to do, Richard, is stop turning down the opportunities to serve and actually embrace them. I think that's kind of where we are. We really need to embrace opportunities to serve, because you don't have to turn very far to see them. They're always there, you know? So, um, my encouragement is let's embrace the opportunity to serve and make some space in our lives to be of service to others.
Good stuff.
All
And
right.
Kofi and I are always here to help in whichever way we can. I know we've said this before, but I'm going to say it again. So feel free to reach out to us. I know we look like we're busy, but we're always happy to help in any way we can. Thanks,
Yeah,
everybody.
man. And usually with anything, yeah, with anything, it doesn't matter.
Yeah,
All
that's
right.
right.
You guys take
Bye,
care.
guys.
All right, man.
See you
Keep
next time.
expanding. Bye.